It's great to see you guys as always. Felt great to be out there with the guys. You know, there's nothing better than being out there and getting better at our craft and being together as a unit. You know, honestly, just feels really special. You know, something with this group, just the connectedness, the persistence, the discipline, all the things that, you know, make really good football teams. So we got to continue to keep stacking those days, keep building those invisible habits, and we'll be in a good spot. But we're just taking it moment to moment and trying to get better every way we can. So open it up.
Back out here for you.
Amazing. I mean, just being able to be around the guys and out on the field. Like, it's one thing to be in the meeting rooms with them, in the weight room, in the training room, but when you're actually out there watching the ball spin, seeing it caught, and calling a play and doing all those fundamentals and all that stuff, yeah, it's a lot of fun to be back out there.
How much have you done with the team since your injury? I mean, like when you're overseas, could you participate at all in practice or in the bye week? Are you able to do anything until now?
So I didn't participate at all in practice overseas. It was really just like, how can we catch up again, because, you know, going on an 8-hour flight, there's going to be some more swelling and you might be, you know, pushed back a couple days, but just be able to, you know, optimize that time as much as possible to get the swelling down and get everything figured out. But it was great to just be out there, you know, kind of on a 10-day fall camp kind of trip with the guys and be able to spend that great off the field time with them. So that's yeah, it was a lot of fun.
When it first happened, did you think it was going to be like a month or so before you were back out practicing again?
Like in the Atlanta game?
Yeah, like the next, or even the next morning. Did you think it was going to be a process that took this long?
You know, the way it felt, it's kind of uncertain. I've never felt a high ankle before. I've had low ankles, but, you know, just based off of, you know, what a lot of well-respected second opinions have said, they said it's, you know, 4 to 6, 2 to 6, all this stuff. So, you know, I feel like it was going to be in that range, and, you know, we're still in that range, and it's unfortunate, and they're really annoying injuries, but yeah, we're just continuing to work to get to 100% as quick as possible.
Whirlwind was that time, obviously, second game, coming off that Monday night, birth of your son, the injury, like how much of a whirlwind was that for you?
For sure, whirlwind. Very unique situation, a lot of firsts, and, you know, just being able to have that strong, you know, core family members and teammates and coaches that I could lean on in those moments, it was huge. And you know, hopefully we can plan things out a little bit better next time and, you know, go for baby number 2 in the off season. So yeah.
Describe how the ankle's doing now.
Ankle is, you know, it's getting there. I wouldn't say it's 100% right now, but, you know, we're striving every day to get there as fast as possible. So
Do you think it's at a point where you can play?
Me, selfishly, I'm going to play if it was, you know, off or not. But, you know, we got to be smart here and understand, you know, there's a lot of things that go into place. And, you know, at the end of the day, I'm just going to do what I'm told and try to get better as fast as possible. So.
Take away from last week, just the time you got to spend with Kevin and Josh kind of in that setting.
It was really awesome because, you know, it was that kind of one-on-one quarterback training type session that you don't really get at this level, and especially with someone like, you know, Coach O'Connell and Coach McCown. It was really, you know, awesome to soak all that in and just get back to, you know, the fundamentals. You know, everyone in this position and, you know, other positions and other professions, they're always working on perfecting that part of their craft, the fundamentals, the basics. So it was just awesome to, you know, get it back on the field and spin it, but get that wisdom and advice from those guys.
Is there anything that you've taken away watching CARSON the last few weeks, things that you gleaned that maybe opened your eyes about anything?
For sure. I would say just, you know, his you could tell by his experience with the anticipation in the windows, with the quickness of when the ball's getting out of his hand, just little things that he does pre-snap that he's been, you know, kind of telling me about. We're reading certain plays, seeing different leverages from certain, you know, secondary defenders, and, you know, just the timing of everything is something that I've been really impressed with and, you know, took a lot from.
Do you think you'll be active on Sunday? Do you even know if they'll activate you, or is it not far enough down the road?
I really don't know. Yeah, at the end of the day, I don't know what I'm having for dinner tonight, so I just try to stay moment by moment, but I trust that they're going to do the best thing possible for this team and, you know, for the longevity of my career.
Is there anything that your fundamentals had
slipped in?
Just from the time that you were away from things and then got back out last week, had they like slipped, or did you have some things you needed to tighten up? Or
it's really hard to say if they slipped just because my ankle isn't 100%. So it's like, you know, you're battling that mental hurdle, you're battling, you know, how inhibited am I to perform this certain movement. So it's really hard to say if it's slipped or not, but it's one of those things where it's just a seesaw for the rest of your career. So it's going to be fine tuning regardless of how well you perform or how well you don't. So
How are you handling that part of the confidence in the ankle and doing those movements and things when you haven't had this high sprain before?
So what Tyler has been saying in the training room, it's all about stressing these and making sure you put it in a situation where it's like, ooh, I felt that and I know I'm fine after feeling that. So it constantly, you just kind of keep pressing that bandwidth of pain tolerance and mobility of that muscle, joint, whatever it is that you're trying to heal up. So yeah.
Do you run as much now? We've talked about that part of your game, which is important, but you also got hurt doing it. So what's your thought process now as far as taking off and trying to get yards that way?
Just understanding, the situation of the game. Is it 4th and 1 where I should go run through someone? Or is it, 2nd and 15 and, I'm getting close to the sideline and get out, 3 yards earlier instead of try to get those extra 3 yards. So little decisions when I have the ball in my hand in open space to get down and, protect myself more. That's going to be something I'm definitely going to work on.
JJ, when you reflect on the first 2 games, is there anything specific that you learned in game or that you found out in game that maybe you didn't know back in practice or back in training camp?
When I was watching?
No, as you reflected on the way you played the first 2 games.
Oh, the first 2 games. Yeah, I would say, it comes down to the fundamentals. There's so many instances where, whether it's a 3rd down play or, a screen on 2nd and 10, where it just comes down to us executing the little things and, all 11 being on the same page. So it's just, it's really, everyone wants a complex way of just how is this going to work, but it just comes down to the basics. So we're just really focused on that.
Outside playing in games, what's the next best way to prepare for a game? Is it practice time, throw them to receivers? Is it video study? Is it being with Coach O'Connell? What's the next best thing you can do?
I would say practice time. Just always repping those plays in live action. But for me personally, I think visualization helps a lot because it's just how unlimited it is, the reps you could do in your mind against unlimited looks. And I feel like that's been something that's helped me a lot my entire career, and it's helped a lot of other athletes in a lot of different realms of sport. And yeah, I'd say that.
Taking some of the timing stuff from Carson, how hard is that to, I guess, simulate beyond just being in it, with the pass rush, with the environment? How hard is it to simulate without that kind of?
Yeah, it's extremely hard. You could sit there with your VR goggles and do it a billion times, but if you don't feel it and you don't have that, I'm going to get hit kind of, emotion arise, it makes it difficult. But at the end of the day, working in, some scout team reps and feeling that rush from our defense and really just feeling that timing of everything has been huge. So yeah, just got to be live in-game reps to get the most out of it.
Just generally speaking, where is your confidence at kind of this week and moving forward?
Confidence in terms of?
Just all of it, aggregate. Yeah.
Oh, always confident, through the roof. Obviously got a great team around me, got great coaches, and, full confidence in my abilities and belief in myself. But at the end of the day, it's the NFL. Sometimes you get dealt a bad hand and, you got to deal with certain situations. But, I always have a positive attitude through everything and confident I'm going to come out better on the end of it.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
How's your bye week?
Bye week was great. A lot of fun with the kids, extra time with the family, and just rest up. Those are a couple physical games overseas, so not just for me, for everybody. So I think everybody, it was an earlier bye week than probably normal, but at the same time, I think we appreciated the timing of it, just with how physical those ones were. I know I sure did. So yeah, it was good.
Where you at with that shoulder?
Feeling good. Yeah, no, feeling good. Yeah, it's just one of those things, you just play through it, and I'm feeling pretty good right now.
Arthur, how are you approaching this week? Taking reps, JJ's taking reps.
Same way I always do, and that's the thing. I mean, even the first couple weeks here when JJ was playing, I approached it the same. I prepare, go through my routine, go through my kind of, so to speak, program of how I watch film, how I study the plays, how I get ready, what I do later in the week, how I take care of my body. That doesn't really change, and so that's the beauty of it. Quite frankly, is having done both roles in my career so far. I have what works for me and what gets me ready to play, and that's what I'll be doing.
What significance does the fact that this is the Eagles coming to town, does that play any significance to you at all?
Not really. Maybe earlier in my career, maybe had a different feeling, but at the same time, you look over there and I'm not even sure there's anybody on the defensive side that I played with. It just looks different. So it's another opponent. A lot of respect for those guys. There's still guys in that organization. There's a lot of good people that I still have a lot of care for and respect for. But at the same time, that feels like multiple lifetimes ago at this point.
How do you look back on your time just in general, if you can entertain that thought to look back on your time with the Eagles?
Yeah, I'm thankful for it. They went and got me at a high pick, all the things. It was quite the roller coaster over there. Winning the Super Bowl, even though I was hurt, right here in this stadium. I'm thankful for so many things. I grew up as a man. I got married, had a kid while I was there. So there's so many life changes that took place there. So grateful for my time there. Obviously, it came to an end rather abruptly. All the things, everybody knows all that. But I'm grateful for all the opportunities I had while I was there.
I feel like that answer is now compared to if we asked you 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's different every year. It's one of those things. Life's a journey. God's writing the story, and I'm just along for the ride, so to speak, doing the best I can. And I've grown up as a man. I've got almost fourth kid coming here soon. Life's just different, and it's one of those things. I don't take things for granted. I have a different appreciation for things that maybe I wish I would have had a little bit different back then. But you live, you learn, and you grow, and that's all you can do.
Back at the tape from your 3 starts here, what do you liked about what you were able to do and the offense able to do, and what do you maybe want to grow from if you get another start?
Yeah, great question. There's misses every single game that I'm shoot, if I was just, maybe I got too quickly through progression and missed somebody, could have hung on somebody, or not quick enough, some protection things that I could have cleaned up, especially in that Pittsburgh game, that I could have helped myself avoid some hits. Some things like that there's still learning to do within this offense, and just I'm still always trying to learn as well. There's some good, obviously coming back and winning that game, that's always fun. That's always a good time. Finding a way to win is hard in this league, so getting that done. Came up short against the Steelers, obviously, but did some good things late in that game as well. So definitely been some good things, definitely a lot of things to clean up, both personally and as a team. And so a little extra time for the bye week to reflect on those things and just kind of hone in on maybe things that the fans and people wouldn't maybe recognize, but just some smaller detail things that I think I can be cleaner at that can help us for sure.
You mentioned taking hits. You've always been kind of a physical player and delivering them as much as taking them. As you've gotten older, have you thought more about avoiding them, sliding, getting down?
I've always thought more about that from day one. It's just what happens out there sometimes just happens. It's definitely something you think about. It's just in the heat of the moment. How do you think? How does your mind work? What instincts take over? And so it's always something I come back and watch the film and it's that was probably dumb. I got to be better. I got to learn. I hate to say it, but I've been saying that to myself for 10 years now. Okay. So, but still always room to grow. And when next time I slide, I'll be just as hyped as everybody else, I think. So, always trying to learn.
Carson, in a league where momentum comes and goes so quickly, what's the best way that you found that an offense can regain the momentum, like play call or hurry up? Or what can a coach do to get that momentum back?
Yeah, that's a good question, and there's not a real pure answer to that. I think every opponent's different, and kind of, I've had streaks in my career where, hey, going no huddle, going up tempo has helped an offense. I've had seasons that hurt an offense. I think it's case by case, week by week, but it's sometimes just guys banding together. It's sometimes just a little extra work and making sure you're on top of the details of some of the smaller things, kind of what I mentioned earlier. Just that's what I thought, and just reflecting over the bye week of just there's some smaller things, even though we won a couple games, there's some smaller things that could have went differently that I could have done, and so some of those small things I think you can just lock in on a little bit more, and it can flip the script in a big way. Protecting the football, that was the story of both myself turning it over against Pittsburgh and some fumbles and those things, some little things that can change the course of a game. So that's momentum killers, that if you just do one little detail thing differently, it can change the shape of the game real quick.
What career did you kind of realize the value of executing the simple parts and how that can stack up?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I would say day one, but it's always something you're continuing to learn and kind of focus on. It's for me, it's learning a new offense this quickly. Those smaller details can kind of get pushed to the wayside because you're so busy thinking of all the other things. And so it's something that I don't want to lose sight of. I think is kind of how I feel, is just obviously I'm learning so much as quick as I can, but at the same time there's some simple, basic, fundamental things, whether that's mentally or physically, that I just got to continue to hone in on. And I've seen the value of those, I think, just throughout my journey every single year. It's usually sometime within the point of a season that you're like, oh shoot, whether it's the bye week or a little mini break, that you're just like, there's some little things here that we can clean up. And yeah, it's every season.
You touched on it a little bit in London, but what have you learned about, or you're continuing to learn about, what it's like to throw to Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, like what those guys can do that maybe other players can't?
They're very good. I said that and I keep saying it, and there's some throws in that the last game against the Browns that I think having those guys and really the rest of the squad, that I'm not sure everybody's coming down with those. There's a lot of guys that aren't, and sometimes those balls might end up in the other team's hands. Just to put it blankly, the way Justin can go up and manipulate his body in there down the field, is second to none, honestly. And so seeing it up close and personal, I was just joking with him about it today. He's just different. He's different, and he's special. And so Jordan Addison coming back has been huge for this team, making big plays, as you saw last game as well. So those guys, I'm just trying to find ways to get them the ball as quick as I can, quite frankly, and those guys are making it easy.
Just seeing them make those plays, give you more willingness to maybe throw up a 50-50 ball that maybe you wouldn't have?
For sure, yeah. No, it's the more you see, the more trust that it builds, without a doubt. And I feel like I came in with that trust, just knowing the caliber players they are. But now that I've seen it, it's obviously something. Be smart. Don't force it when it's not there. All of those things. But at the same time, give those guys a chance. They're going to win more often than not.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.